All right, we're going to be talking about a data visualization product called Datawrapper. And Datawrapper is specialized for creating visualizations for publication. So visualizations that look really good either in print or on the web. So usually what organizations will do is they'll look at data in Excel or they'll use Tableau to find what they want to say about the data, and then they'll come to Datawrapper and make something that's specifically for readers. All right. And this is just going to be a really quick overview of some of what Datawrapper does so that you can start learning it on your own. Okay. Datawrapper is free. It has a little bit of branding at the bottom, but for student work and even for a lot of organization work, that's not a problem. Okay, so I create an account, I log in, I tell it I want to create a visualization, and this is my process. So I'm first going to tell it where the data is. Generally, I'll be uploading an Excel file or a CSV. I might be pointing to a Google Sheet or somewhere else. Here, I'm going to choose data that it already has loaded for me just for demo purposes. So we're going to go to the next step, check and describe. This just, I look at my data, I say it looks good. Okay, I'm going to go to visualize. Visualize has 4 steps. I'm going to choose the chart type. I'm going to choose visual features. I'm going to do text things, and I'm going to do layout things. So one of the nice things about Datawrapper is it has really good chart types that are kind of hard to create otherwise. So for example, I can make a table of this data and it will paginate it for me. So this is really nice for putting on the web. You can explore these on your own. We're going to stick with a scatter plot. And one thing to understand about that is down here at the bottom, we have our size. And so I need to tell it I want to be looking at it at this size. All right, so I'm going to go to refine. This is where all of the things that you're used to doing in Tableau are. So what do I want on my horizontal axis, right? Which variable do I want on my horizontal axis? I'm going to keep it as GDP. And then also some things that I often want to do that are kind of hard to do in Tableau. So I'm going to say, well, this axis starts at 10,000, right? Or I want this axis to be off. I don't want to see labels. I can change everything there. Maybe I want it on the top, things like that. I'm going to keep everything default for now. Same with vertical axis. And then we would get to visual features like what color are my points? That's here. And in Tableau, we're used to mapping that to a variable to one of our columns. So I can do that, customize colors, select which column, and then I just come here and I select the color that I want for each of my points. So I'm going to keep that blue. And you get some really nice things. Here, the legend appears automatically, things like that. I can turn that on and off, obviously. And I can do the same thing with size. I can set it to variable, map it to a column. I'm good. Trend line on or off. So things that I do in Tableau, it's just much easier and nicer to do here. One nice thing about Datawrapper is it has this colorblind check. So I can see if people with different kinds of color blindness can still see my colors. Okay. So that's something you can play with, make sure that the color choices are good for colorblind people. Annotate is where all the text things happen. So title is the headline, and I'm going to say US lags in life expectancy. Okay. Generally, we'd like a nice declarative headline, something that tells the reader this is what I want you to get out of this graph. Description is the subhead. That would go here. Okay, that's more kind of declarative information. I'm telling the reader things about this visualization. Notes is the caption that comes underneath. That's usually more details about the data. So anything that the reader really needs to know to understand it. That might be something like this is how we calculated GDP per capita if it was in a different way, something like that. Data source is where the data came from, and you can create a link to that. So that would be the CDC, wherever you got the data from, your byline. Again, Datawrapper is nice and accessible, so you write a description for people who cannot see or for whom are using screen readers. And then you have some other options. I'm not going to do these annotations. This is where basically I could write some text here, or I could highlight a range. But labeling is nice, so I can tell it either automatic labeling, and it's going to show points that it can label clearly, Or I can say, actually, my point is I want to show where the United States is, because that's my point here that I'm making. And I can say maybe I want to show the United States and I want to show Switzerland as a comparison. Okay. There are some other options here that you can play with as you go, but I'm then going to proceed to publish and embed. Really, the only thing to think about here is the theme. They're all pretty similar. I think the default one looks good. And let's go to publish and embed. So if this is the first time you've made this, you'll have to hit publish. I'm going to hit republish. And then you have a couple options for how people can see this visualization. So I can download it as a PNG file, which is an image file. And if I want to put it in like a Word document or a PDF, that's going to work there. I can link straight to it, so that just takes me to a page that has this on here. Maybe in social or something like that, you want that. But the really nice thing about Datawrapper is I can get my embed code here. And I can tell it I either want a responsive iframe or a regular iframe. And generally I'm going to want responsive because this means that it will respond to screen sizes. So let's take a look at that really quick. I have a page here already created. I'm just going to pause while this loads. Okay, so I have a really simple HTML page here. I'm just going to paste that embed code directly in here, and then I refresh. I get a really nice embed. These are what 538 uses, other really big sites, and the nice thing is that this is responsive. So as my screen size changes, my visualization changes, and with a lot of visualization products, that's not possible. So that's a really nice thing about Datawrapper. So there is tons more that you can learn about Datawrapper, but that's just a quick overview that should get you started in creating your own graphs and charts.